Jay Anderson, CPA. What's going on?
Hey, Norfolk CPA, what's happening with you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually glad that you hit me up. So, just everybody that's watching out there. So, Jay hit me up and was like, hey, we need to talk about this decline in the profession. You want to do it live? Hey, let's do it. So thanks for reaching out to me. And it's based on a article that a couple of Ph.D. CPAs, Mr. Dr. J. Burke and Dr. R. Palomini. I may have said that wrong. Forgive me if I said that wrong, but it's based on their article that is entitled "The Accounting Profession in Crisis." And what journal did this come out of, Jay? Because you pulled this up. What journal did it come out of?
CPA journal?
The
The
CPA
CPA
journal.
journal.
Okay. So what we got is, we have some summarized bullet items that they talked about in their journal, in their article. And so we'll read this and then let's just dive into it. We can do it bullet point by bullet point, or you free for all, but let's go into
Okay,
it. So they talk about the
all right.
decline in CPA candidates. There's been a notable decrease in students choosing accounting majors, leading to a drop in CPA exam candidates. From 2016 to 2021, first-time CPA candidates reduced from 48,000 to 32,000, 33% decline. In 2022, the number of exam takers was the lowest since 06, compared the lowest since '06, and 30% fewer candidates passed their final CPA exam section compared to 2016. Aging CPA workforce: 75% of the AICPA members are at retirement age, intensifying the shortage issue. Enrollment declines. Both bachelor's
Whoa.
and master levels in accounting have seen enrollment decreases. Certain universities, especially private ones, have experienced even more significant drops. Reasons for the decline: various factors contribute to the decline, such as the perception of accounting being boring, lower compensation compared to fields like finance and technology, lack of diversity, high cost of education, overall declining enrollment in higher education. The 150-hour requirement, we all know, as become a CPA, you got to have 150 hours. The critics argue that this requirement has not improved the quality of accountants or the profession's image, but has instead deterred potential entrants due to the higher cost and opportunity lost of additional education. Proposed solutions. So here's their proposed solutions. The authors suggest eliminating the 150-hour requirement or modifying the CPA exam structure. Under the proposed change, students with 120 credit bachelor's degree in accounting would need to pass an additional discipline exam unless they complete a 30 credit master's degree focused on one of the new discipline exam sections. Okay. Economic impact: the decrease in the CPA's candidates has led to lower revenues for the AICPA. The authors believe their proposals could eventually attract more accounting students, increasing total revenues for these organizations, and the urgent need for change. The authors emphasize the need for dramatic change in the profession to address the supply crisis, focusing on the 150-hour requirement. So let's jump in. What are your
What
thoughts?
do
I think
where do we start?
we can start wherever. Honestly, for years I've heard everybody have a critique about the 150 hours, and if there was not the 150 hours, it would probably, and it kind of seems like maybe the authors are are suggesting this, it would lead to an uptick. I'm not saying it wouldn't be any type of uptick. However, I do think there are factors outside the 150 hours, but let's just talk to the 150 hours. What do you think of the 150 hours? What would you come up with if you were the decision maker and you had the power to say, make a ruling on either get rid of it or modify it? I know I have some thoughts. What's your thoughts?
Well, since I work with folks who were CPAs before I was born, I guess, and those who only needed a bachelor's degree, I don't think the 150-hour requirement should stand. That is something they can scratch. And I think also part of this article and some other research that's been done has shown having those additional hours has not done anything necessarily for the profession. That I think that was just another way to, in a sense, gatekeep the profession, so to speak.
Right.
And again, the research is bearing out that did not help candidates any better be prepared for the exam or increase pass rates over the last few years, since that was required across just about all the accounting boards.
Right, because
And
even with
then too, I will
100,
say this: not all states. I was going to add right quick, not all states adopted the 150 hours right away. Like some have been slow to adopt it even in recent years. So, but go ahead.
right. So what I was going to say, with the 150 hours, it's so you get your bachelor's degree. Most people are probably going to get in accounting. Uh, However, that additional 30 credits, because the bachelor's gives you 120, the additional 30 credits, it doesn't even have to be in accounting. You could go take music classes, you could take art classes. And so most people are probably
So
going to
you
take
prove the
something
point.
that, right.
So
So that in it by itself
okay.
in my opinion, doesn't really add value. Hey, we need to take 30 more classes, 30 more credit hours of something. Now, here's where I think they could go. And if I was on the decision-making board, here's some of the things I would say. One,
What's that?
I like the idea of additional training. And I think it could be done by, hey, if you get your master's degree in a business related discipline, whether it's your master's accounting, tax, MBA, finance, something related to business, I think I would be cool with that. I would also be cool with the additional 30 hours or waived if you already have some sort of other professional designation. So maybe you are an enrolled agent. Maybe you're a certified management.
Okay.
Maybe you're a CFP, a certified financial planner, or a chartered financial analyst. I think they should reward being dual certified or multi-certified like yourself. You know, you got your CPA, you got your EA. And it would actually, I think it would actually add some additional depth and some additional skill sets for folks becoming a CPA. Because somebody might say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna take a year, get my training to get my CFP. Now I can sit for my CPA. Boom. Now you have a more robust CPA. So that's some of the things that I think would make it work. I've heard others talk about, hey, let us have an additional year of an experience where we get college credit for that. Like, so why do that? Why not just add one more year of experience, forget the college credit for internship? Because all that means is I'm working and I still got to pay tuition at school for working just to say I got it internship or externship.
Right. So what you're proposing, this will be in lieu of those additional 30 hours.
Yeah, I think
either or.
Either or. Hey, keep the 150, keep the total 150 credit hours, or If I got another professional designation, that will equate to those additional 30 hours. So if I get my enrolled agent designation, then I don't need those additional 30 hours. So it would incentivize folks to actually become, in my opinion, I think it incentivizes people in the profession to become multi-layered, add some additional skill sets. Let's get the CMA. But I don't know if if the AICPA would look at that as competition, because
It's
maybe
worth it.
they want
Right, it's the
everything.
value there. I just got you. Yeah, but I think they should just go back to a bachelor's degree. Should be significant. Should be sufficient. That should be plenty. That should be enough
Right,
to
right.
sit for the exam or become CPA.
Yeah, well, I
Especially
mean
if you're saying
that's
the
definitely how it
majority.
was back in the day. That's how it was
And
back
if
in
this, and if it's showing that most of the baby boomers, that's all they had anyway, and they are pretty much 75% of the profession, and that's all they had anyway.
right, right. So
And I think the additional cost investment, besides the money and the time, whether you got that dual credential or what, that's an additional investment, and that, and we are in, as the article states, a crisis. So you don't
right.
have time for that
Well,
additional education or credential that you may have picked up.
well,
If the goal is to increase the number of CPAs.
right. Well, here's another thought. I do think in a lot of cases, some folks will benefit from additional training and education. And it really depends on where you're at. So for the typical fresh out of high school, went straight to college, maybe
Mm-hmm.
4 years, they haven't developed the study discipline yet to go
Okay.
straight into that CPA exam and have success. So maybe that additional 30 credits gives them some additional training. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting, I guess, stat we would need to help us fully discuss or flesh out this conversation and some of these solutions, because it that would make a difference or give us some insight on whether students, traditional students, are going straight into the CPA exam, or if there's some working experience and life happening, and then they're circling back to becoming a CPA. How far along the CPA or the accounting track, I should say, profession are they before they decide, okay, I want to take the CPA exam or become a CPA? And how many people actually start out in college? CPA is the goal.
Well, I think the
And I think that's a
university,
missing.
and I know some universities do it, but I presume there are many universities that don't. But I definitely think there has to be a focus on when you get the students coming in as accounting majors, they should already,
Mm-hmm.
at least by, their sophomore year, they should have a track on, hey, I'm going to go to the tax track, I'm going to go to auditing track, the data
Okay.
analytics track. And part of this track is going to be me focusing on getting my CPA designation, or I'm going to go on this track where I'm going to be
Okay.
focused on getting my certified management accountant designation because, I plan to work in manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. Or, hey, you know
Okay.
what? By the time I'm a junior in college, I already want to have my enrolled agent. They have to start. Everybody says we get the CPAs or the professional designated accountants, but we got to put more. And again, some institutions are doing it. So shout out to the institutions that are already doing this. But we definitely have to put more emphasis on getting the students prepped while they are already in school.
Okay.
If you're taking financial accounting, you should be
Right.
taking some test prep
Mhm.
related to the FAR exam.
Okay. I know you mentioned that you are aware there are some universities, but since you work in higher education and academia, Is that what your institutions that you are connected with, are they doing that, or is that an assessment for accounting students?
Honestly, from what I've seen, I think it really depends on the professor. I haven't at the institution I've been at, it hasn't been like a whole. This is the the program is
Right.
taking this whole format. So
Right.
when I
Right. Like that's a
now
part of the degree program. That's a part
right,
of you of the
right,
curriculum, so to speak. When you
but I think it
go
should be.
ahead.
It should be. You know, we're
I
already
think so.
seeing the decline. We should already be prepping them and
Mm-hmm.
getting them set to the standard of this is what your exams are going to look like when you take the CPA exam. So if we're taking a tax course, we should be taking practice
Mm-hmm.
CPA regulation exams or even the enrolled agent test prep while we're taking the relevant tax classes. So it's not this big daunting task once we graduate and then, we feel like, yo, we need to sit for this exam and it's such a big hurdle and a lot of folks don't get over
Mm-hmm.
that hurdle.
Right. So it sounds like one of our solutions might be proposed to business schools that would be a track, or you identify that coming in, if, especially if you choose accounting as your major, assess why CPA is not your ultimate goal. Get an understanding of that, because I mean that may not be what the person or student wants to do, but understand why. But for those who are interested in that, that should be part of the criteria outlined out of the gate,
Right.
and have business schools tracking those students along as they progress through the degree program.
Well, yeah, there are students that will say, hey, I don't want to be a CPA. However, I would challenge
Mm-hmm.
this thought. If they were already, as part of their assessments during their curriculum in college, they are already taking preparatory assessments while they're already in college, and then they are seeing that they're actually having success in their assessments, that probably would
Uh-huh.
incentivize them more to just go sit for the exam because they already are being prepped that way. So a lot of folks, in my opinion,
Right.
saying,
Similar
"Hey, I
to
don't want to be a CPA because it's such a daunting thing, fear of rejection. I'm not gonna pass." And and they're out the game because their mindset ain't right. They're already out the game before they get
that's
started.
good. You hit on it, but I think we should follow suit similar to maybe what law schools, as we have a similar interest in that. Law school, once you get in or you start studying law, the ultimate goal is to pass the bar.
Absolutely,
That is
absolutely,
understood. So I
right.
think we should probably apply that philosophy or take that approach towards the business school, since there are so many facets of business. But once accounting is identified, that I think we need to take a hard look and take a strong stand on how we get people to one CPA exam and then passing the CPA exam.
I
Right.
I couldn't
At
agree with you
all levels,
more.
at all colleges, whether even if that's a community college. And I was just so disheartened, discouraged, and disappointed to hear professors or instructors at a community college tell me that was not even a focus. Because thought about this same conversation years ago when I was heavily involved with Georgia Society CPAs here in DeKalb County. And some of the instructors at a local community college that fed into Georgia State University said, well, we just trying, those students probably aren't prepared or not even thinking about becoming a CPA. But again, you have to expose the students, train the
Right,
students, enlighten the students. And
right.
I
And
would go ahead.
if they're not being prepared, then that falls on the hand of the department chairs, the deans. If you can't, if people are
Mm-hmm,
coming in as a specific accounting major and they're not even programmed to
mm-hmm,
think about what are the higher tiers of certificate certifications and credentials, you need to you need to get up out of there. And we need to hire somebody more innovative that's going to bring about some great change. Some of these, I don't know. I think some of these gatekeepers are sitting in position, maybe when they were younger, they had more energy, but they just status quo, and it is what it is, and they ain't thinking about the outcomes of these students. They might just be collecting their check because it's easy work to them at this point.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. And that's a problem,
It is
especially
a
for the
problem.
minority account,
Right.
especially for you. We keep talking about the
And
CPA stats in general, but then if we do that, if there's a subset of that Black CPAs, oh my goodness,
well,
what
and that
could
goes back
potentially
to
happen for us?
looking at this thing, reasons for the decline. They say the perception
Okay,
of
let's jump into
accounting
that
is
one.
boring. The perception of accounting is boring. The perception of accounting is boring because you have these outdated ways of
Stuffy.
trying to connect to the people, to the young people.
Yes.
And
Stuffy
it's stuffy. We think it's
closed-minded.
closed-minded. Nobody is attracted to that. And what I think part of the challenge is, you'll have folks that'll come into the profession, they'll get their CPA, they'll rise in corporate stature, and they are more polished, they're more articulate, and then they lose the sense of how to communicate or relate to these younger students, potential students. And they accept this mindset of, well, accounting isn't nothing to be excited about. It is what it is. No, you got to have a business mindset. And these students are your potential clients. It is your job to identify with them, so you can get the revenue coming in. The students are the revenue. We need tuition revenue, because pretty soon, if the profession keeps dying off, low enrollment, ain't nobody coming into the programs. We don't need your fancy Ph.D.s and CPAs or whatever ABCD credentials that you got, because we ain't got no cash flow coming through, because you haven't took the initiative
that's true.
to relate to these young
Right,
folks.
that's that bar.
Right. So,
well, then you got lower compensation, and then followed by the lack of diversity and the high cost of education. Those are the two that get my attention, or I harp on and talk about a lot. Lack of diversity, and then the high cost of it. That barrier.
right.
It's self-imposed barrier back to the gatekeepers.
Well, it is a lot of the gatekeepers, but listen, I think, there's community colleges that are affordable. There's even colleges that are traditional four-year colleges that are affordable. You can get this education, but they need, one, let's go back. The young people need to be able to relate, and they need to see accounting as not boring. So actually, it's going to take the people like me and you, people on YouTube that don't look like the stereotypical boring accountant. It's going to take folks like us, somebody that's going to be on TikTok and get in the minds of these people. I'm serious. Right. Or whatever new trending thing they're going to be on.
I got you. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone too. That's why I'm laughing. But you're right. But this is my attempt.
Right.
To what is that? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to take. We have to go to where they are at. We got to go to where they are at. We have to be able to speak their language. Right. Then we can have influence. Right. Then they can see, oh, man, I was looking at Jay Henderson. Man, she's dope. I want to I think I want to.
You know, you have to be so right. You got to be so fly and flashy. I'm trying to dispel the myth, but I will say it has been an effort, a conscious effort to step outside my comfort zone. I mean, yeah, I can chit chat and yak it up with folks, but again, to speak professionally because I grew up, or I was groomed. You got to be, I guess, as we keep saying, stuffy, tight. Everything got to be structured. Everything got to be in place versus just free flowing and going with it and speaking intelligently about it and being myself again to relate to people however that may come across, but not sticking into this one box or one lane. So it's been a conscious effort to step outside of that lane or shift lane, so to speak.
Well, I think part of
Which is
that.
fun. Which this is fun.
Well, it depends on the
Go
what
ahead.
avenue. I think the rules of engagement and where you interact dictate how you navigate in certain lanes, or as you know, I've heard you say before in one of our former talks, how you code switch, if you will. But you know, being this, for
But we
example,
have to wait a
being the
minute. Let me
stuff,
say this. When we're talking,
maybe being the stuffy, stereotypical, boring bean counter is the
uh-huh.
way in old school traditional corporate America. However, we're in a new
Right,
age,
right.
folks are more entrepreneurial. We have YouTube influencers
True.
that are,
Right,
you know,
right.
they're building brands through YouTube, IG,
That's true.
TikTok, their own brands, their own business.
Showing.
The game is different. You can't be that stuffy person.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to rely on corporate America. So the rules are changing, and these old
Not
gatekeepers, they
anymore.
don't know those rules because they're not on platforms like this engaging.
Right. So,
And
but
I
we got to connect. I mean, you're doing a good job because one, you are in the classroom, you are in academia, and that's another place that's gatekeeping. You have to have a certain background or years of teaching experience to even get
right.
in front of the students to expose and enlighten and influence them. So that's another way that we've
It
been prevented to touch or connect with those potential candidates.
it is. So
You broke that barrier. You broke
how
that
does
barrier.
someone actually get into the classroom? And so, you know, you got different levels of even how that will happen. And you know, typically, you know, you can come on either as a part-time adjunct professor, or if you want to be in a tenured position, they're going to have different requirements. Typically, for most adjunct professors, if you're teaching accounting, they typically are going to want you to either have a master's in accounting or an MBA with at least 15 to 18 credit out graduate credit hours, and they typically do want to see that preferred professional certification like a CPA. So that can get you in the gate. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know you want to teach, you probably should get your master's in accounting or maybe an MBA with a master's in accounting, taxation, etc. Get your
Mm-hmm.
professional designation. Now, if you want to be a tenured full-time faculty, then that is a whole nother
Mm-hmm.
set of criteria. You
Right.
different business schools have different accreditations. So the most sought after business school accreditation, from my understanding, is from the AACSB, and schools that are AACSB accredited, they won't even hire most of the time. They will not even hire another
Uh-huh.
PhD or doctor or DBA candidate if they did not even come from another AACSB accredited institution.
Cool. Ain't that some gatekeeping?
It, it, it's arguably some type of gatekeeping. And the thing is, you could have
But they want to
someone.
insure. They say they're insuring a standard, right? That's what they would say.
Right. Well, there's a lot of emphasis because a lot of, you know, the AACSB schools, when you go for your doctorate degree, they're really honing in on getting your your research skills up to par, which, hey, I'm all for that. However, we do know that it's not a however, but we know we have this decline, and young people ain't coming into the profession. So again, you can be fancy Ph.D. researcher, but if you ain't connecting to the young folks,
you ain't got nobody.
You ain't got nobody to teach
you ain't
to.
Got nobody.
And
ain't
so,
nobody in that big nice auditorium, right?
Right, nobody in that big nice auditorium, and so you got to have some different minds, a different way of thinking, and you got to have people that can connect to the young people that can connect to
you said something different mindset. But are we, those of us who are credentialed, are we taking the time to get on the boards, or are we through all the bureaucracy so we can be appointed, selected, or approved to sit on some of these boards, such as the AICPA, where the decision makers are? Those who, as you got these bullet points here, those who will be addressing these issues, are we sitting around that table? Have we started to pull back the curtain and trying to make those connections? Right. Those of us who have the credential, again, here's another hurdle that we got to jump over or try to again get to that table. So there's some responsibility on us, but it's like, damn, do we ever get to a point where we don't have to hustle, claw, and clamor for anything? Because this will be in a sense, this will be detrimental to us.
Right. Well, you're definitely right. You make a lot of valid points, and it does take the effort of the yous, the me's, and other people like us to actually get involved, whether it's, getting involved with the State Board of Accountancies, the AACPAs, even some of the other organizations like the Institute of Management Accountants or National Association of Enrolled Agents. We got to start, if we are not already doing it, we do have to be involved. And I think the other thing is we have to continue, just like, I was so excited to meet you because seeing what you were doing on YouTube, that people need to see you. People need to see me. They need to see different variety. And we kind of have to continue to press forward so that our recognition, our visibility, we already have a certain level of credibility. They just don't know it yet. They have to know who we are. But I mean, just getting through the hurdle of getting to see with certain cachet and credibility.
I know we tired. It's enough. We done.
Yeah, but we have to get out there so our influence can be bigger, and that's how we can start
changing the mindset. Or I was making the point, you think you're at the finish line. It's like, whoo, I am done. Really, it's just beginning.
Right.
As you're saying. And we got to shift that mindset, thinking, okay, I've arrived. Oh no, it's time to get busy for real.
Right. And honestly, I think a lot of the institutions, they have to find the folks like us, and they have to start trying to recruit us. Even if we're not going to them, they got to start trying to recruit us to become these next level professors.
Okay.
Why isn't anyone recruiting you to join their PhD program? And then,
big question.
Want us. No. Well, then you don't want no other students. You see,
and that's why we got to sit around the table and let them know, really, you're hurting the profession.
Yeah, I mean, you have these recruiters, the admission directors, and some of them are fabulous. I've talked to different folks, and who have great ideas, and I've talked to some folks who I think, man, your whole outlook is outdated. Outlook outdated. Outlook outdated, old-fashioned. But
Well, I will say this on how significant this is, even the state of Georgia where I'm at. It wasn't that long ago that the requirements were changed, the work experience, because I think this differs across different states too. But in Georgia, you need only 1 year of work experience or under a CPA to get someone to sign off on your experience. But it was 2 years for many years. But talking to someone that I interviewed on my channel, and he was a legislator, in which again this shows you have to get involved beyond just becoming a CPA. But he was part of the board or the advisory group that voted and changed it from 2 years to 1 year, which is a significant amount of time, big difference in your work experience having to work 2 years versus 1 year. But back to the point of you have to get involved and stay involved to enact change that will benefit those after us.
right. Well, and I'm in Virginia, and when I got mine, it did require 2 years unless you had a master's degree, and that could substitute for 1 year. So you were looking at
Okay.
1 year of experience. I my opinion, I mean, 2 years isn't a long time. I mean, to someone who's just 21, 22, 23, and they just got out of school 2 years, oh my goodness, I gotta wait 2 years. 2 years goes by so fast.
Mhm.
So I don't even think that's a big ask myself personally.
I don't know. Years ago, I will say, but people not sticking around on jobs like they did so long ago. And then too, this was significant. I would say for those who are maybe mid-level, not necessarily right out of college, because a lot of people, their immediate supervisors are not CPAs.
Well,
And that's the person who has to sign off on your work experience in Georgia. You have to work under a CPA or work in a public accounting firm.
okay. See, that's different from each jurisdiction. Like every jurisdiction does not require
Right.
you to that it has to be signed off by another CPA. It has to be signed off by a manager who can validate what you were doing, but they don't necessarily have to be a CPA.
Oh,
So that
oh
might
yeah.
just
And
be
it has
a
to be an active license.
oh wow.
And
So
I
you
will
have to
say
go
I was
find a
with
CPA to go. So you got to go find a CPA to go work with. Wow.
and that's why that was significant because you're talking about somebody may have that might be a huge ask or sacrifice because
Right.
I know someone just brought to my attention this week. I went to visit one of my friends in the workplace, and she introduced me to a young lady who recently passed the CPA exam. I say young lady, she's probably in her 40s. So this is pretty much she's mid-career and she's gotten this. But she later told me when we were having lunch because I was saying she wasn't so excited. You know, I'm up just digging her up, you congratulating her, making her sing. I'm like, welcome to the
Right.
club. This is awesome. She told me she is not licensed. Black lady, she's
Yeah.
not licensed because her immediate supervisor, come to find out, does not have an active CPA license.
Oh.
He's been saying he's a CPA all these years, but come to find out it's not active. So now she's stuck. So what do you do
CPAverify.org.
with that?
Woo.
That's what I told her. I said you can find out why it's inactive, if it was suspended, revoked, whole bunch of stuff. But I think some other things were coming to light. But she was just telling me why she wasn't so enthusiastic when I was making such a big deal about it because she's still waiting 6 months and she still isn't officially licensed
Well,
because of this
she got the
roadblock.
main
So
part out the
now
way.
meaning
She got the main part
but
out.
but now but she's in her job, but you working. Now I'm probably gonna have to go take a pay cut so I can go sit up under a CPA. So that's why that was significant versus 1 year versus two
You
years.
think it would be a pay cut? I mean, if you can already say I've already passed all the requirements of the examination requirements
Mhm.
of the CPA, people are gonna value that. And with the experience she already has, so she literally just has to find some CPA to sign off. Man, that sucks in that state. Man, they
Go
yeah.
go back to your other slide. I want to see because it was something about salaries too. Because entry level, go back to some and this. I know she probably is making a decent amount. So that's revenues. But somewhere I read too, it was about the starting salary. You can go back, and I can say that probably be if she switched gears and went to a different organization, they're not gonna want to bring her in at what she's paying if she's been on that job 10 years.
You don't think so?
That No, well, I don't think so. And that's a dilemma that people find themselves in. I know another young man, he's making six figures doing what he's doing, but to go work up under CPA because they try to lowball you. They know what's going on. That you need the experience. So they're gonna bring you in to try to work the devil out of you. I mean, it might pay off in the long run, but
Maybe they
initially I
just need
think
to
you
go
have to
to a
take a pay.
state where the a jurisdiction where that is not the case, where you actually have to be signed off by another CPA. Like I think when I got mine, I
Right.
mean, I was working under CPAs
Oh,
at the
I know
company.
what it was. Look,
Yeah.
it's the it was, hold on, please don't forget that thought. I know in my mid 40s, my memory ain't the same, but it was right here. Reasons for decline. It was that
Okay.
second one, lower compensation. Lower, that's where I saw that. Lower compensation compared to fields like finance technology. So yeah, if you come in accounting, sometimes they don't want to pay you misery with your credentials. But go
Well,
ahead. What you gonna say when you got license? Go ahead.
when
No,
I got
finish your other
licensed,
point.
even though I was working under CPAs, I still had a manager that was not a
Mhm.
CPA that signed off. So, but again, that was Virginia, if I remember
And I
correctly.
will say too, I know somebody a year ago that I interviewed. She was from Michigan, so she told me about the games and hoops she had to play with the neighboring state. I don't know what states are around Michigan, but she had to do something in another state and then circle back to get licensed in Michigan or something because to get around the work experience.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, but you have to know this in advance to play these games, so you can get licensed in another jurisdiction and then come
Right,
back and apply for reciprocity.
right. And going back to reasons for decline, you said the lower compensation compared to fields like finance and technology. Well, a lot of CPAs are getting in those professions, and because they have the CPA, they are actually
Mm-hmm.
getting higher compensation than the folks who don't have the CPA. So it actually should not be a reason for decline. It should be, hey, I get the CPA, even if I'm in the finance lane, it's going to enhance my prospects. I got a
But
good
you
friend of
thinking
mine.
long, mm-hmm.
I'm
But you
thinking, what?
thinking long term, or in long range, because the short term, somebody gonna say, well, right out of college or right upon uh, obtaining my degree, I can get this better job or higher paid job in finance technology versus what you just said, in addition to. So that
Well,
means you still would have to invest the time and the money to obtain the CPA. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I haven't seen the research, so I can't intelligently speak to it. But but what I do firmly believe,
It makes sense what you're saying.
yeah, if you firmly have the CPA, even in a field like finance, a field like technology, heck, even if you're an attorney, if I already have the CPA and I want to work for a tax law firm, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
someone who doesn't already have their CPA, and assuming everything else is equal, we both got our law degrees, they might
Mm-hmm.
swing, hey, this person's already an experienced CPA, let's go with him or her. So I got a
Right.
good friend of
I
mine.
don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I got a good friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
He's a financial advisor. Got his certified financial planner designation, and what he told me was
Mm-hmm.
he would sit with clients, prospective clients, and he would
Mm-hmm.
always hear, "Well, let me go talk to my CPA," because people respect that CPA to the point that even though he's a finance guy, he just said, forget this. I'm gonna go get my CPA. So I ain't even gotta hear you say that anymore. No, I'm the CFP and
That was enough to motivate him.
CPA.
That motivated him. He got tired of hearing that. That was enough motivation.
Yeah, so he identifies more as a finance guy than he does as an accountant. But I mean, hey, you get the CPA.
But you know, they say,
What's
I don't
that?
know what type of research, I don't know the amount of research or the how reliable it is, but it says CPAs are the most trusted advisors or confidants of anybody, your CPA. So I don't know where I heard this, but I've never forgotten it. People, if they have a CPA, people trust their CPA more than a spouse, a doctor, or a lawyer. So that's another reason to be in the profession, because people truly would trust you with their lives. When they don't trust their spouse. I
Right.
mean, yeah, you get married, but yet say you finna head to divorce court. They'll double cross each other all day long. The doctor, they ask how much you weigh, you gonna estimate a low balling, but yet they about to take you to the scale, but you still gonna say 10 pounds
And you
less.
still ain't
That
saying.
makes no sense, right? You know? Right, but
I
again,
ask
that
you, hey,
mindset is then
how
the
much you owe the
label.
IRS? I don't know. We gonna pull them transcripts up anyways. So
Right. So, and then when who's the other one? And your lawyer. If you ever get in trouble, they went to that or chose that lawyer because they think that person is a snake anyway. So, so again,
yeah,
the CPA has all those other three people beat when
yeah.
it comes to trust.
And the other thing that I think is interesting is a lot of the universities, when students are going through the curriculum of learning accounting, even if they're pushing them to get their CPAs, they're pushing them to go straight to corporate America. It's not enough emphasis on how do I mold this young aspiring mind to actually be entrepreneurial. How can they start their own firm? Because that's where, the brand, you get a lot of the bang for the buck of that. CPAs are viewed as the most trusted. These are from individual clients and things like that, not working in some big, finance or accounting department of some corporation where you're not even talking to the
Right.
end client. So I think
Right.
universities have to do
So that's another opportunity.
yeah,
That's another opportunity.
it is. And
Well, I
so,
know we've been talking.
yeah, and
So
really,
before we wrap up, or we can talk,
yeah, we could talk all
or I
day.
can talk. But I want to hit on. So, what are your thoughts on? Is this a crisis, an impending crisis, or we're about to go over a cliff, or is this an unbelievable opportunity? Optimism here. Is this something we can take advantage of? Because then, to me, it seems like there's so many lanes and opportunities. Do you view the glass or half full or half empty? What are your thoughts?
I'm definitely an optimistic type of individual, so it's definitely an opportunity. So what I would say to the folks, whether they're the folks at the AICPA, what I would say to some of the universities, you embrace
Mm-hmm.
alternate thinking, and especially alternate thinking
Okay.
from from folks who have demonstrated, hey, I've made a commitment to the profession, and we can judge that just by having the CPAs. So the folks like me and you, get us at the round table. All of the folks that have
Uh-huh.
accounting Ph.D. programs, even if we're not looking for you, you need to be looking for us. Come find us.
Uh-huh.
And you need to be trying to get us in your institution. Sell.
Right, because
As
we
a
look
business
for
owner, we have to
oh,
sell.
we need
We got to sell. We can be the best accountant
and
ever, but if we can't
so do
sell
you think
product, we ain't got no clients.
do we have so do we have a duty or obligation to avert this crisis, being
I
that
say
we
yes.
are the low
We we
Menards
we
trust
we,
in
we have a
or we're
responsibility.
not at a don't have a a seat at the table, even though we don't have a seat at the table and we represent such a small fraction?
Well,
Does some responsibility still fall on us since we hold the credential?
seat at the table is relative. And because of how the world is today, the traditional
Explain.
gatekeeping mechanisms, the go along, get along gang of the past. Shout out to Mr. Brown. The go along, get along gang of the
You
past.
know, you took the words right out my mouth. I was about to say, go, Kwame Brown.
Yeah, shout out to Mr.
I
Brown.
knew it.
But the,
Kwame.
the traditional infrastructure isn't as much of a stronghold as it is today, because we can get the message straight out to the world. Just like even in the record companies, you had to go through so many gatekeepers and A&Rs and kissing butt to try to get the right people to hear your record. We ain't got to do that no more. We can go straight to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. The middleman is cut. So even if we're not at the table, we just create our own table, get our brand so out there, get it to where it has grown so much that we have so much influence that the people at these old traditional tables have to come to us, because the people are looking at us. We got the ears of the streets. And I know some folks, did he say the streets? He's supposed to be an accountant. Why is he using words like that? Yes, I said we got the ears to the streets.
Right. So that seems like that makes our jobs even harder.
Oh, we gotta just get better at what we do. You know what? The late great Kobe Bean Bryant, part of his Mamba mentality, he says every day, just get better. Get better at something. Get better every day.
True.
So we're adopting that philosophy of getting better every day, and then other people are inspiring that. And then iron is sharpening iron, just like me and you. You know, when we connected, you know, the energy was there. I already saw what you were doing. And you know, you weren't a hem and haw. Like, I've reached out to people. Well, we'll see. And I know you didn't reach out to these old, boring people, don't want to do nothing, don't want to collaborate. Forget trying to move people that don't want to move. Let's get out there with the people that's going to have the energy, and the folks want to hear us.
All right.
So this is
it's an opportunity. So
absolutely.
What did you say? What was that? I was
about to say, yes, I am Norfolk CPA and I approve this message.
Oh. That's all right.
I'm running for office.
You know what? That might be something in our futures too, right? You gotta save the whole world about being a CPA.
But no, we need to have more of these discussions. So I think something that we should do, and anybody that's looking at this, put something in the comments. If there's some other type of related articles you want us to take a deep dive into, you want to come on a call with us too, we're happy to have you jump on a call. Other different minds, the other accounting CPA podcasters, YouTubers out there, yo, let's connect and let's have these discussions.
Well, go back to your first slide. Let's hit one of the solutions or bullet points and get your thoughts on some of the solutions that's been proposed. Because some may disagree, may not be too inclined to approve that or be an advocate for that. But what are your thoughts on some of these? What are solutions? Eliminate. So we talked about that. So economic. Believe. Let me see. What else did they propose? Oh, and about that, I guess replacing the discipline, which I think the new CPA requirements is trying to address that, since you have the 3 parts now, and then you get to choose.
And then that special
this discipline they're calling it. So maybe that's an attempt to address this that was already mentioned here.
Yeah, we need to probably have a discussion about that. so the folks can be aware of what those changes to the CPA exam. So let's
Right.
get to something where we talk about that too.
Yeah, because I have some thoughts, especially how did those 3 or 4 disciplines come about? Who got to sit at the table and make that decision? Yeah.
Right.
So we can
Wow. Yeah,
follow up, right?
we got to get at the table.
All right. Well, it's always great talking to you and listening to your insights, especially for someone who's in academia. You seeing it firsthand.
I'm seeing a little bit. Like,
And
you
you,
know, I just work part-time adjunct. I typically am teaching one class a semester. So
okay,
I'm
that's
seeing it.
great.
I'm seeing it. But actually, a few months ago, I did join the accounting advisory board of a local community college in my area. And
Awesome.
I have been saying some non-traditional ideas and some, I think they're innovative. The dean, she my ideas. And that's why she asked me, Clarence, you gotta be a part of this. Okay. Don't expect me to think like everybody else. Just know
How you think it's being received so far? Your input.
I think I think I think it's going well. And part of I think it's going well. So
Okay, that's
and,
good.
and sometimes what I have noticed, especially before I became a CPA, you know what I used to say about CPAs?
What?
And I used to joke my friend because she was a CPA way before I got mine. Like, you CPAs, y'all are so arrogant. Like y'all are just, and that was my
Your perception
perception of
of
CPAs. Maybe the ones that I work with in corporate America, they just have this aura of
yeah,
I am a
that's
I am a CPA. And you know, shout outs to you for getting it, but but when I actually got my CPA, in addition to all these other credentials I got, so nobody can pull the when I go into the room, and even if I don't sound or look like on the surface
mhm.
that I'm this multi-credentialed experienced person, you
Uh-huh.
can't pull the, well, I'm a CPA and I've been in academics for X period of time. Yeah. Check the resume, check the letters. And I'm good at hip hop too. So what?
Get get out of here, huh? Get out of here.
I'm just playing. I love all my CPA colleagues out there, and I want to collaborate with you and do great
but
things.
but don't you laugh and giggle to yourself though when you see them doing that? You're like, man, they don't. If you only knew, right?
Well, because I don't see it as much anymore. I don't have that perception that CPAs are arrogant anymore. And it's probably
Really?
because, well, you can't come that arrogant to me because I have what you have.
I will say it's interesting. That's good where I guess your circle or your network. But I will say here in Georgia, it is still that typical, what you said, that attitude and pretty much not even middle age, more retirement age white men. And
Mm,
every time I go to this meeting, this particular meeting, I'll take a picture and I'll post it on this group that I'm in. I'll be like, and I just always, and it's a selfie or to show the room, and I always say, "Where y'all at?" I'm like, "I'm waiting on y'all."
right.
And it's not enough to motivate them. A lot of them are aspiring CPAs, but I don't think they're over the 3 years I've been affiliated with them. I don't think anybody in the group has become a CPA yet.
Oh, yeah, we gotta change that.
And I'm
Make
like,
make accounting not boring again. There you go.
and it's like there's so much opportunity, and and it's so much fun, and you can map your own, I guess, course or how you want to do it, what you want to do it, and it's so much opportunity. That's why I just kind of scratch my head now. But I do know, though, I will say this: it hasn't been that long ago, so I understand the investment when it comes money and time.
Right.
That is not lost on me. But again, it is well worth it.
Right. You listen, it's gonna pay off, I don't know,
Exponential.
multiple times fold, if you will. You just gotta lock in, get the right get the right mentality, the right discipline, the right focus, and just knock them exam parts out. Don't lollygag. Sometimes you got to sleep less. Sometimes you got to watch less TV. You can't watch Power. And I like Power. I just watched Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 1. But sometimes if you studying for the CPA, you can't do it.
How did you
You
like
got
the
to put it to the side.
spinoffs? How you like the spinoffs of Power? What's your thoughts on all the spinoffs?
I think they're dope. I mean, again, shout
Okay.
out to Mr. Jackson and Courtney Kemp for just having the ingenuity to come up with this universe. Uh, they I think it allows each spinoff allows it to kind of have a certain type of niche. Like for example, in my opinion, I think
Mm-hmm.
Power Book 2, Ghost with Tariq and Braden,
Mm-hmm.
you can capture a younger audience. Now we're capturing the college
Oh,
kids with this,
oh,
right? So,
okay.
or Raising Canaan just is grittier. It's just a grittier type of show.
Oh,
And in my opinion,
that was 50 Cent's
um,
character, right?
and in my opinion, Raquel, she's like the main person of the show. She's the star of the show to me.
Oh,
but
okay.
but everybody, all of the actors are well. So I'm not saying
Ooh,
that because
okay.
she's the show, the star of the show that everybody no, everybody is doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
Um,
That's
even
interesting.
yeah, and even when you look at Power Book 4, Force with Tommy Egan, I
Oh,
think that can appeal to a different audience. And so now, you have a lot more prominent um, Caucasian characters in there. So you probably got more of that viewership looking in, tuning in.
mhm.
So
Oh,
it
this is
they can do
a lot
different
of
things.
dynamics. Oh, well, they lost me after the first one. I didn't pick up with it. I couldn't carry on. And nothing was gonna be good as the first series. I
So
don't
you
know
don't
any.
like
So I didn't. I never got interested in any of the other ones. So I don't know what you're talking about. Who you talking about?
wow, wow. Even well, at least Power Book 2 is more like it's just adding on to what already happened. A lot of the original OG characters are still in there.
Mhm.
You know, Councilman Tate, he's still in there. And
Well, see how he killed off so many people in the first one, so I had nothing to connect with. Okay, now I'm gonna take you off to something else. Then I'll stop yakking. But it's so funny when you brought up Power. I thought about the guy. You remember Proctor in the original series? Their
Yeah, absolutely.
the lawyer friend. I
Yeah,
think that was that Proctor.
that's Proctor that Tommy killed.
Okay, the lawyer friend, right?
Yeah,
That was the attorney.
Joe
Did
Proctor.
you, that was something. If you are you following the here
The
in
what?
Georgia, the YSL, Young Thug, Young Slime
No.
Life. That is a big racketeering charge or case that with the 28 rappers or people from the street were indicted. 28 people,
Oh wow.
like unheard of. You never follow
No,
it,
I gotta
especially
check
since
that
you
out.
part of the rap game.
Yeah, I probably need to check that out.
And now it's a big deal too because they're going to use Young Thug's lyrics against him. That's why it's got a lot of people watching it that's not even from Georgia because they want to see how this plays out. And they've had record executives who testified during the discovery period, pre-trial period. But now the trial it finally got on the way. It took them 10 months to see the jury.
Right.
You don't know anything about this. You should definitely, if you got time on your hands, you should go look at some YouTube
I'm
videos.
gonna check that out. But I have heard the I may have heard a little bit of it, but I have heard the conversations of where the feds will use lyrics of
Mhm.
rappers against themselves.
Right.
It's like you snitching on yourself. Sometimes the new technology of the day is giving us a lot of vehicles to enhance what we're doing, but sometimes it has also made us more.
Stupid, dumb. The
I didn't
smartphone.
say that. You said it. So
Yeah, this smartphone that made everybody dumb.
right. And like you literally will go do a crime and go live on IG.
Or have your cell phone with you that was pinging the entire time.
Right.
Along the way, right? But the reason I bring this case up, one of the defense attorneys, because remember it started with 28 defendants, one of the defense attorneys looks just like Proctor, Hispanic looking guy. And I was like, that is Proctor. That is the power dude. It is so funny.
Reincarnated.
Yeah, and you got, and especially because you're interested in law and then you into rap, hip hop. You
Yeah.
should just, this is so, it's so interesting. But he got, this attorney actually got arrested going through the metal detector one day at the county courthouse. They done locked him up, said he was assaulting one of the officers when he was trying to go in to get to the courtroom.
Wow.
This case is a circus. It is so interesting, some of the things that are taking place as the trial just got underway, I think 2 weeks ago. And
okay.
they've been, it's fun. But anyway, that's why I was tying it back.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing. Me and a buddy of mine, we're gonna be doing a talk, and I would love for you to join it if you want to. We're gonna be talking about LSATs and getting into law school, and I'm gonna talk about how I got a low LSAT score and it's prevented me from getting to some law schools, but an alternate paths of getting things done. So I would love for you to join in on that conversation. And
sure. I don't know what I can contribute since I haven't gone down that particular road yet, but I am so much interested.
See, hey, then we'll make it happen. So, but I know our time is dwindling. So everybody that's checking, that's tuned in right now, one, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. We're going to be having more conversations. You can follow Miss Anderson on youtube.com/@JCLPAA, and she is also on IG at JCLPAA. You can follow me, Norfolk CPA, at youtube.com/@Norfolk CPA, and I'm also on IG at Norfolk CPA. Any concluding thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you again for connecting and having this interesting conversation and sharing your insights on what you're seeing and how we can move the needle, and sharing that you're optimistic about where the profession is headed. And although I will say I'm probably more of a realist, but it's great to go back and forth with you, share ideas on how we can move the needle, increase the number of CPAs overall in general, because it sounds like we headed off a cliff. So thank you for having me. Look forward to the next one.
All right. Appreciate you.